Hi, welcome to the Gamesplainer. I'm Jeff the Gamesplainer, and today I'm gamesplaining Sorry No Vacancies. So this is a roll and write game. I am not a hugest fan of roll and write games in general, but sometimes they hit the table and I go, oh yeah, that was okay. And this is one of those games that I haven't discounted. I kind of enjoyed playing it. I think as my wife said to me when we played through it a few times, she's saying this is one of those games that can just hit the table and sit there and we'll play through it without having to really think too hard. Now, don't misunderstand me, there is some thinking involved in this game, but you don't have to think too hard. So the essence of the game is you have 6 dice, you can roll them, you can re-roll them up to the 3 times. So that's basic Yahtzee mechanic. On that re-rolling, there is one question mark I have, and you'll notice that if you watch the Gamesplain, there is only one other video of this one, by the way, that I rolled and I hung on to 3 dice and I re-rolled the other ones, and then I thought, hang on, I actually want what I've just rolled, and re-rolled the 3 that I'd hung on to. I'm not 100% sure if that was legal or not according to the rules. It doesn't go into the nitty-gritty of that. I have mentioned to just leave a comment below if you actually know the rule on that one. So please, on this as well, if you'd like to leave a comment below if you know that rule. It's just, there's little stuff like that in the rule book that kind of catch me as like, oh, is that or is that not? And as I play with all the games, make a decision and go with it. If there's anything in any game at all, if there's a question mark, just make a decision, go with it so you can get the game playing. And then at the end, you can go and do some research and find out if that's what you're wishing to do. This game does feel a touch like Yahtzee, but it has some things where it steps clear of the Yahtzee mechanism entirely. So you have areas of your campground that you're trying to fill up, and the lowest spots is just take a number and put that number in. You can add dice together to make up other numbers, so that enables you to have a 1. I've already filled the 1 in, I can't use that, but I can add that 1 to this other die and fill that in. So that's a little bit unique, and I kind of appreciate that. I think that's a really nice little element. Then there's the rolling 2 of a kind, 3 of a kind, etc. within your dice, and you're basically just trying to fill up your board and cross off the spots that you've managed to fill. If you can't use any dice, then you have to negate a spot for each die, and you've got to be really careful of that as you get towards the end, especially that you're not negating stuff that will get you alternate points, because there's a whole bunch of cards that say if you fill these 3 areas, then you can get this card, which will give you some extra points. That's a really good thing. But you've got to be really careful that you're not negating one of the spots that would enable you to get those cards. And so there's this real push-pull on, oh, do I get rid of that spot? No, I don't want to get rid of that spot because I could get that card. But if I don't get rid of that spot, I've got to get rid of this spot over here. But if I get rid of that spot, I'm not going to be able to fill that space up. Because when you fill up a space, you get one of the bonus cards, assuming you're one of the first 2 to actually fill that space up. And the cards can give you some benefits. There's 3 different types of card, and there's a lot of stuff like just extra, which I actually quite appreciate. I like that it's there. So this is one of those games where it's going to sit, it's going to run. It feels really comfortable. Is probably the best way to put it. It feels like, oh yeah, I've kind of played this game before, but there's extra stuff that makes it unique. And that's what I appreciate about this game. That's the thing that kind of pulls it apart from other potential games. The uniqueness of it, and the uniqueness comes in those cards and what they do. I'm not 100% sure that some of those cards are balanced, but that's just me. For example, there's a car or vehicle card. So if you gain 1 of them, you'll get a point at the end of the game. If you have 2 of them, you get multiples of points, and the number of points you get is more. There are 4 of them total, but I'm not 100% convinced that the amount of points that you gain for them makes it worthwhile going after them, is probably the best way to say it. And that's just a thought of in the playing of it. Yeah, it's just a thing. you know, other than that, it's quite nice. The one thing I did notice with this game, and it's actually a really kind of timely thing, is I've just listened to, or just before I played this game the first time, I had listened to a podcast that was talking about, with roll and write games, do we use a pad with a pencil, or do we do a board with a whiteboard marker that can be crossed out? And what they said was that it's cheaper to go with a pad, and the other issue is that with the whiteboard marker, if you accidentally scrub your hand over the board, you're going to rub stuff out. And you know what? That's exactly what I found. One of the things was being marked, and just my hand just scrubbed the board and it cut something out. So just be very aware of that. That it is like, I have no problem with it being a whiteboard marker, but you just got to be really careful you don't bump the board or scrub your hand on the board and then therefore rub some stuff out that you've already marked in. So look, I actually quite appreciate this game. I think I'll play it again. I'll play it with a larger group to get a feel for the 4-player game, but I've played this 2-player a couple of times, and I think that the 4-player game, the 2-player game, it's going to be the same. It's going to be the similar ideas. The only thing that will change a little bit is how quickly you want to fill up the spaces, because with a 2-player game, you're guaranteed of one of those cards for filling up the space, whereas with a 3 or 4-player game, whoever's the third or fourth to fill up a space isn't going to get a card at all. And so there's, you know, there will be a little bit of that, oh, I kind of need to fill up these spots kind of thing going on. So look, I'll leave it there. Please go ahead and watch my gameplay/Gamesplanation video to get a feel for how the game actually plays and all the stuff that I'm talking about. If you have any comments or suggestions, please write them below. If you have any games you would like to Gamesplained, please shoot me an email to thegamesplainer@gmail.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter @thegamesplainer to keep up to date with the games I'm playing. Subscribe to my videos to keep up to date with the games that I'm gamesplaining. And until next time, enjoy gaming.